Hey there, everybody. Chief Meteorologist Jason Boyer here in the Skywatch Weather Center here in Asheville, giving you an update. I hope you're staying safe out there and enjoying the snow and even the sleet that's now beginning to fall. We are seeing a transition to the sleet as we anticipated we would at some point. It's happening a little earlier for some, but right on schedule for others. Okay, so let's lay out the details, and of course, always click and subscribe here to the WLOS YouTube channel, so that you can get the latest and greatest from us, and we will keep you updated throughout the storm here that way as well. We're going to be on air here at 5 o'clock as normal, but if you are chiming in from somewhere that you want to share with us your snow totals and what's happening your way, we appreciate that. It's always a good thing. We love the information. All right, so you look at these temperatures, you say, why isn't all this snow sticking? It looks like it should be snowing heavily in many places, a lot of dark blue. Well, the moisture is aloft, higher up. That's what the radar is picking up on. As this moisture has been falling into some drier air at the surface, it's been eroding away the heavier snow. And in most cases, that's been the situation. Not every case, but it's limited the amount of moisture we can squeeze out of this storm. And even though the models were showing 4, 5, 6 inches of total liquid total snowfall and sleet, that may not be realized because of that drier air. So first of all, let's take a little tour here. We'll zoom in and we'll show you some of the heavier bands that are happening. This dark blue that's happening here over Graham County and Robbinsville and Stokoe, that is definitely some steadier and heavier snow that's coming down. Look what's happening though here in some of these locations right along the highways here through the valleys. We have mix, we have sleet and possibly some freezing rain trying to occur here along Highway 129 here. This is cutting through Graham County, through Stokoe and south into Robbinsville. Then you go along 1923 and you come into areas like Bryson City, and it's beginning to mix there, beginning to mix a little bit southwest of Cherokee on 441. So we're starting to see this sleet and some freezing rain, but I think it's more sleet that we got to be worried about if you wanted to certainly impact your driving. Let me turn that off for a second. So I think it's really going to be the heavier bands south of I-40 for now. Yes, we're picking up some of the snow here in the French Broad River Valley, but look at the light color here on radar. That indicates that this is lighter snow, all right, finer flakes, not big, fat, heavy flakes that have been coming down in some places. Now, we certainly have some bigger flakes going on here as the snows have intensified over the Highway 64. This is down into Lake Toxaway and the Brevard area, Pisgah Forest, Rosman, over to Cashers and Sapphire and Highlands. And I'll show you those numbers in just a second. These are places that I think will be winning out in some of the bigger totals of snow. And then you get down into the upstate, and boy, is it becoming a big freezing rain and sleet mess. Now, it's been snow, but now the radar is indicating that this warmer nose is nudging in above. And even though the surface temperatures are below freezing, we're getting that warmer air above to melt the flakes into either sleet pellets if there's cold enough air to fall back into, or stays liquid, hits the ground, and it's frozen instantly. That's freezing rain. That's the worst case scenario. So that's what we're seeing unfold in the upstate. So travel is going to get very difficult quickly down there. I-85, I-26, I-385, you name it, it is going to be a mess. Now, our roads are going to get worse too. In fact, if you haven't encountered snow-covered roads yet, you will likely encounter some of these snow-covered roads in the coming hours. The sun angle is lower now. We're at 3:42 in the afternoon. That sun sets around 5:30. And it is definitely going to start turning icy quickly here on these roads. Into the foothills and eastern upstate, we've had some bursts of sleet around Ellenboro earlier. The snows are steadier here too, but again, it's struggling to accumulate as it has to overcome some of that drier air too at the surface. But you go down 85 and it's just a mess. Now, Atlanta got a couple of inches of snow pretty quickly in the morning, and it's now just a complete mess with sleet and even freezing rain now beginning to add up in the metropolitan Atlanta area. That is a real nightmare. So anything down there is going to be a major problem. So we'll continue with the weather warn day. Here's some of the photos to show you how much is accumulated. This is Melanie and Robbinsville. This is earlier today. She had about an inch on the ground there, a solid inch, I'd say, as the heavier snow, I'm sorry, was moving in and affecting that area. So it's definitely going to be a good mess there for a while, as you can see. And let me close that out. I believe somebody is trying to call me. If you are trying to call me right now, please do not call me. I will not answer the phone. Weather video, Angela Polk in Glenville. This is earlier today. This is weather video from north of Cashers in the Jackson County area. That's a solid coating of snow, maybe about a half an inch to an inch on the ground there. And that was about 3 hours ago. So we might have added up a little bit more in that area. So thank you for sharing that. Bigger picture again, it's a mess along 85, I-40, and I-85 east is going to get worse into Charlotte. Eventually, Raleigh might get some snow and sleet, but it's not going to be a major deal there unless you're on the south side of town. I think the southwest side of town is going to have more issues. Notice also what's happening back here. Let me draw the map back this way. You notice that the moisture is stopping. I mean, there's not much left here of moisture once this banding moves through. So give it about another 6 to 8 hours tops, and I think we're done. I think we're going to wrap it up pretty quickly from southwest to northeast. It's going to wrap up very quickly later on this evening. That doesn't mean that roads are going to improve. In fact, they might get worse as the temperatures stay below freezing, obviously, and we continue to have some ice concerns. Now, the good news is I'm not expecting our temperatures tonight to get down into the teens, okay? If it gets below 20, the salt, the brine, it has a harder time melting off or keeping ice from forming really on the roads. Now, brine, the chemical mixture that they spray on the roads, that can work down into some very cold temperatures. Now, when I was in Colorado, I did a couple stories with the Colorado DOT, and they were telling me, hey, if it gets down to like 10 degrees, that stuff still works pretty good. But once you get below that, forget it. It doesn't do very well. And it just becomes for naught. You know, you can spray all you want, but it probably doesn't do a lot. The salt itself can work down into those lower 20s and upper teens, but once we get past that, even salt doesn't do a lot. So keep in mind, we're not expecting teens in most cases tonight. That's good. It's probably going to be in the 20s, and that probably keeps a lot of the treated roads okay. But the untreated roads obviously are going to be a problem. So there it is. Into the future we go. I'll zoom in for you. There is 5 o'clock this evening, and we have a good mixture of snow and sleet going on. Sleet showing up in some more mountain communities, and that's going to shut the snow off for some of you, southwestern mountains. Ice is a big issue down 85 towards Atlanta. Then we'll stop the clock here at about 9 o'clock. Notice how things are starting to come to an end here pretty quickly south and west of Asheville. Still some heavier bands of snow possible, but a lot of us are going to wrap this thing up by 10, 11 o'clock tonight. I think a lot of it's moving on. Yes, there could be some leftover moisture, but most of what you see here is not going to be terribly heavy. And then the system moves on tomorrow. We do have some backside moisture in the form of some snow in the high elevations, but a lot of you are going to be okay later on in the afternoon as the sun starts to pop through and begins the melting process. Now through 9 o'clock, temperatures in the 20s, about 1 inch on the low end to 3 inches more on the very high end. I think that's reserved for some special areas south and west of sleet and snow mixture, okay? Sleet and snow mixture may add up to another 1 to 3 inches from now through 9 o'clock. Once we get to 9 to 11 o'clock, the snow's starting to really end quickly. The sleet as well, maybe another inch. So by the time the storm ends after 10 o'clock tonight to midnight, I mean, the storm's over with. We're talking 2 to 4 inches. There you go, folks. 2 to 4 inches, I think, will be pretty common in most mountain areas. So just to show you where some bigger totals might occur, we got 1 to 3 inches around Asheville, south to Hendersonville, into the northern upstate, and east into the foothills. That's a pretty good chunk of real estate. But I went 2 to 4 west and north. So if you get west into Waynesville, Cullowhee, areas like Franklin, Bryson City, you're in that 2 to 4 inch range. Burnsville, Marshall, yeah, you're on the edge there, but you're probably up in the 2 to 4 inch range. Same in Banner Elk and areas north. But The 3 to 6 inch range is probably reserved for the Smokies and areas like Cashers and Highlands and into some of our southern mountains. And Robbinsville, you might get 3, high end 6. Again, everybody wants to focus on those high end numbers. It doesn't necessarily mean you're guaranteed that. We give you a range because somebody's going to end up with a little more, somebody's going to end up with a little less. It's how it always goes. You know, that's what we see right now. So is this a major storm? Hard to classify it as that unless you are, you know, one of those people that thinks, hey, an inch of snow is a big deal. It's going to complicate travel, no doubt. So just hunker down. We think this storm is going to wrap up pretty quickly, as I mentioned, later on into the evening hours and overnight, and then we'll be back to some warmer weather. In fact, the temperatures are going to get into the 40s into Sunday, and the sun's going to come out. That's really going to help melt off pretty quickly a lot of the snow initially. But if it's not, you know, sunshine on your side of the house and you got the north side of the house or the east side of the house and the roads there, those are going to stay pretty icy for days to come. So be aware of that. All right, everybody, I appreciate it, and we will keep you updated. I got another update coming up on WLOS at 4 o'clock, and then we'll be on air at 5 with more. Please let us know how much snow you got, too. You can Facebook message me or comment on this post I put out there. I appreciate it all, and stay safe, and just be careful out there as the storm winds down later on.